This program is about on-the-job behavior. One of the first things to consider is, once again, your attitude. Your attitude about your work is sometimes called your work ethic. Your work ethic is basically the pride you take in your job, which is reflected in the way you handle yourself at work. And just like any other attitude, it is a personal decision, and it is entirely under your control.
She stood out with her work ethics, being on time. If she was here early, she would start. She wouldn't sit around and wait, for the time clock, punch in and then go to work. So she did a lot on her own. 5 o'clock is usually our terminating time for the workforce for the day. She spent time staying afterwards, making sure the areas were cleaned up and everything before she left. So she showed, a lot of promise and a lot of willingness, to be part of mile marker.
She's reliable. She is very intelligent. She is committed. I've had her on different types of jobs, and she's never once told me, no, I can't do it. If she doesn't understand it, then she's the type of person who does her own research to find out what she has to do.
My personal work ethic is I'm a hard worker, trustworthy, respectful, do what I got to do, obey the rules, follow instructions, pretty much what I got to do to keep a job and maintain it.
My responsibilities here, show up in the morning, of course, about 15 minutes prior to opening to make sure that I get changed up, everything is out, set up and ready to go at 8 o'clock. So when he unlocks that door and the first customer walks to the door, we don't have to worry about pulling this out, pulling that out. 30 minutes to get ready. When the store opens at 8 o'clock, we're ready to go at 8 o'clock.
As I talk to employers and we talk about what they're looking for in employees in terms of work ethic, I find that they want them to try very hard to do the right thing. They want them to not necessarily look for what's in this for me and shaving this hour and how can I get off on this employer, but to give just a little bit more than I normally would, to be a good employee.
Show courtesy, don't have no attitude in the workplace, even though you may not agree with somebody, principles in your workplace, you still treat them as a person, y'all still work together, to keep the office running.
Another aspect of on-the-job behavior is professionalism. Professionalism applies to every job, from the most basic minimum wage job right on up. It is reflected in the way you interact with other employees and the public. It is part of your work ethic, and it says a lot about the kind of person you are choosing to be.
People lose more of their jobs because of what we call the water cooler antics, where they're not getting along with somebody else, not getting along with their boss, because they just didn't keep their mouth shut. That is the biggest way people lose jobs. If an employer likes you and you respect him and you get along with him, he will put up with a lot more behavior than he's going to put up if he doesn't like you.
We have a variety of staff, from age to race to level of education, level of social skills, and they all interact, and the job can be quite stressful from time to time. So when he comes in, I think he has, because of his background, I think that helps him to be able to read people, and he can sometimes discern whether or not someone is having problems. And I think he's been able to help some of them by talking to them, because I think he can have some empathy in that area and help them through it.
You have your days. You might have a person come in feeling real good, and then you have a person feeling low, something like that. I'm the person, if I'm feeling good and I see somebody feeling low, I'm going to try and help that person come up and feel good also. And that's, if somebody see me feeling down, I like for them to try and encouraged me to keep my head up also.
The best thing to have a job is to remember it is a job. That you have to act professionally no matter what your title is cashier or you're the teacher or whatever. Your job is to be a professional. In other words, leave your personal stuff at home, your gossiping, all of that stuff, don't bring it with you. A lot of people don't really realize that.
I work at Palm Beach Transportation. I'm a lot manager for the cab company itself. It's Yellow Cab, really. I do a lot of mechanical diagnostics for them and stuff like that, because the drivers that drive the cars, half of them can't speak good English. They don't know how to write, but they don't know hide nor hair from, the wheels on the car to the carburetor on the car. So then when they go to write up a work order when something's wrong, it's a lot of times they don't word it right. Everybody's frustrated because they can't understand what's going on. So what I do is, no matter whether there's a work order wrote up or not, I go out there every morning, and the vehicles that come in at night, that are towed in, and I go through them and I run and check on everything. I take them for a test drive.
If you're working in a company and everything, you're sure going to be working with other employees, your supervisors, the bosses. You've got to be able to do, if you're working in a customer service field, you're working with customers, you've got to be able to interact well with people. And if you're working for a company, for example, you should be able to represent that company's best interest by treating the customer right. Obviously, if a customer is treated right, he's going to want to come back to that company again.
Finally, part of on-the-job behavior is being substance-free. We've already dealt extensively with substance abuse, so we'll simply tell you this. Being high on the job will catch up with you sooner or later and may land you right back in prison. It is certainly not professional behavior, and in many jobs, random substance abuse testing is one of the conditions of employment.
It's almost universal now, it's very common, especially for low-level jobs. They screen you for drugs for a reason, because, a lot of kids are using, a lot of, let's say people in the lower, end of things in the labor pools are, using drugs. So you can expect to be screened, I would hope that we're doing enough here that you don't have to worry about that, But in the event that you're using drugs, I wouldn't give you much chance of ever holding down a good job anyway. So.